Hey, what's up guys? This is Jeff with Gamestork, and believe it or not, the Nintendo Switch can play current generation games. Let's look at some proof.
Gamestork, delivering news, reviews, and playthroughs like a newborn baby.
Now, the first thing I want to talk about here is the fact that the last video that we did here showed some of NVIDIA Shield's games that we knew were running on the Tegra X1. Now, this wasn't to show what the Switch was capable of on the upper limits, but rather the baseline, showing that at the very least, the Nintendo Switch could handle those games. Not saying, hey, the Nintendo Switch can work really hard to make these games run. I was showing that on a lesser console, which some people would argue, and I saw it on there, believe it or not, that the NVIDIA Shield TV was somehow more powerful than the Switch, and the NVIDIA Shield in itself was a better console that took better advantage of the Tegra X1 chip. And you know what, if you believe that, you're just foolish. Go look at any professional magazine that's on tech, look at any professional, any of that. Of the handheld market, this thing is a beast. It is the most powerful handheld that has ever come to the market, period. And it is taking more advantage of the Tegra X1. And that's just that. You know, we haven't seen the big AAA third-party games come yet, but they will come. And the reason that we haven't seen them come yet is not because of the lack of ability, but rather because of what Nintendo has done as far as secrecy to keep this system out of the hands of people who may leak it. So those big companies didn't necessarily get the dev kits that they needed to complete games and figure out this new console in time to get this 2017 set of games out on that console, which is why we're seeing ports and things of the like. But what I want to do to start this out is just to say, we know this, and you guys are saying that those games from the last video were last generation. Yes, they were. But let's look at this for a second. I want to point out that the Nintendo Switch is more powerful, significantly more powerful than the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. And that's the first thing that you need to accept. If you're watching this video to see the capability, you need to understand that the Switch will outperform the PlayStation 3 and the 360. And you say, okay, well, what's the big deal? You know, Gamestork, what's the big deal? Of course we know that. Yet the people who know that are the naysayers who disagree that the Switch can run this generation's games. So we're going to look at these, and I'm going to show you why the Switch can do it. Now, it's going to be at a lower graphic fidelity, but it still can run them. It absolutely, positively can run them. Now, as we look at some of the footage here from this awesome current generation game that was huge and pushed consoles to their limits, you know it, it's Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. This game was amazing. It was graphically impressive. It was just awesome. And it was one of those that you looked at and it just wowed you. And you cannot, when looking at this, you cannot say and you cannot make the argument, that's not a this generation game, because most games that come out right now still don't look as good as that game. Very few do. As a matter of fact, Horizon Zero Dawn is probably the only one that comes to mind that actually surpasses that and looks better. That game looked great. And here's the thing, if you can see it on the screen here, it's also running on the PlayStation 3. What? You mean to tell me that Metal Gear Solid 5, a current gen game, is playing on the PlayStation 3? Yes! Because they scaled it down to run on this console because there was an install base to purchase it. This is the same thing that can happen to the Nintendo Switch, except it has better capabilities. So instead of what you see here in the comparison, it will actually wind up looking better by comparison. Now, it's not going to be up on par with the PlayStation 4, especially this, you know, the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Scorpio, but it can run, and these are full games. This is a full game that we're looking at. So that's the first one. Now, the second game I want to bring up is Grand Theft Auto 5. People have scoffed and laughed at this, but guess what? Grand Theft Auto 5, just the same way, was scaled down for the PlayStation 3, and boom, there it is. Look at it. Look, how's that apple taste? Just playing. But seriously, if the PlayStation 3, which is a lesser console, which is a lesser unit of power for a gaming device, right? If it can run Grand Theft Auto 5, Could the Switch not do it? Or is it magically because they have the name Nintendo on them that so many people believe that this game is just going to go in and not work? I don't understand. Like, because Nintendo's stamped on this, people automatically believe, well, nope, nope, nothing like this could ever run. Grand Theft Auto 5, it's not going to happen. Alright, how about, if that's not enough for you, how about this? Far Cry 4, which also running on the PlayStation 3. Scaled down. It's also a big game. It's got a lot of movement. It's got a lot of particles. It's got a lot of voice acting and story and cinematics. It's got all this stuff. And guess what? Because of the install base, because of the fact that they could sell it, they scaled this thing down and they sold it on a lesser console than the Switch. So could the new Far Cry come out on the Nintendo Switch? Absolutely. Would it have to be scaled down? Yes. Could they do it? Yes, because they've done it for these games to sell them on the PlayStation 3. Now, last but not least, you know, we saw the leaks about Destiny 2, and everybody's laughing at the idea of Destiny being on the Switch. Now, you know, first of all, let me say, preemptively, Nintendo has to get their online stuff right. And they haven't launched it yet, which is insane to me. I don't know why they're waiting. Maybe they're just trying to perfect it and get it as close as they can to what Sony and Xbox has, which are very good online services. And if they do that, then there's no reason that these games should not be able to come out on the Nintendo Switch. Why do I say that? Because the first Destiny, which also was very demanding, launched on the PS3 as well, and it ran. Now, it was scaled down. There were a lot of things, you know, that were different, but it did run on the console. So theoretically, the new Destiny, which I'm not going to say this isn't going to happen, but I'm saying there's a possibility there that if the market allotted for this, if there was a big enough install base on the Nintendo Switch, Destiny 2 could be scaled down enough to run. That goes for all the online games, as long as Nintendo got their online system right. If they can get that online functionality going and have it where it's worth something and that it functions well, then there would be no excuse at that point. Anyway, everyone, I just wanted to show you. Now, I know what some people are going to say in the comments because they don't listen to the videos and they don't watch them. But what I wanted to establish is the fact that PS4 games that are, you know, somewhat demanding on the PS4 were running on the PS3. And there are a lot of other ones that you could research. There are a ton of games that ran on both of these consoles. And the fact is since the Switch is better than the PS3, then they can be scaled down to go onto the Switch. And looking at the side-by-sides here and the comparisons, they're not just terribly ugly. On the PS3, you'll still get an enjoyable experience, and not only an enjoyable experience, but an experience that you get to take with you, an experience that you get to pick up out of a dock, and you get to walk out of your house with it, and you get to play it on your break at work, and you get to set it down with people in the office, and you get to show down with them on these games. You get to, I mean, there's so many opportunities here, and I know that on those big games like Destiny, that's one of the problems, is that you can't tether. Sure, on Mario Kart and Splatoon 2 and things like that, you can tether on those games and you can play because it doesn't demand a lot of bandwidth. But these other games, I understand, you know, it takes a lot more bandwidth. So dock mode's probably going to be the way to go for online-only games. However, those big third-party games that don't require online all the time, yes, you know, yes, bring them over, scale them down. Let Nintendo fans buy these things. As a matter of fact, I would love to take the new Tomb Raider on the go. I would love to take a Resident Evil collection on the go. I would love to take just any game that's coming out now. Even Persona 5 as I play it, I just say, I wish this was on my Switch. I want to play it on the Switch. And now I know that it could be, because it's also running on the PS3. Anyways, I hope I made my point on here. Now, you're free to have your own opinion on this, but I believe that this argument establishes the fact that the Nintendo Switch can play current gen games. Obviously they have to be downscaled, no one's arguing that, but it is capable to run the games. It's all about marketing and Nintendo's install base as to whether or not this is going to happen. Personally, I believe that the big third parties will come. They're not going to come in 2017, they're going to come in 2018, and I think that E3 will be a big show for us. The Nintendo presentation is 1 hour long this year, and we're going to see a lot of third parties jumping on board. This thing is the system of systems. and we'll see a bunch of people get on board. The install base is going to blow up, and then in a couple years we'll see the Tegra X2 or whatever they're going to call it at the time go into the system, and it's going to be even more capable on the go. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's been really informative for you, just to establish what the Switch is capable of. The reason we don't know a lot is because Nintendo is so secretive about everything that they don't just let all this stuff out. They're saving it all for E3, and I believe it's just going to shock everyone what's coming. So thanks so much for watching. I certainly appreciate you guys. Even you guys that disagree with me, it's okay. I appreciate you watching this video too, and I think you guys are really, really awesome. Thanks so much for giving your time to watch this video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next time.